Hello, this is Liam Hicks. I'm doing a presentation for my series World End Syndrome. This pitch is a condensed version of the show Bible that I've created for the series, and let's just get right into it. World End Syndrome. Noun. The belief that the world has been ending since you were born. A set of concurrent signs that form an identifiable pattern reflecting the decay of civilization. What is World End Syndrome? So something that inspired me to create this show is that you always see myths about the apocalypse and the end of humanity, and in all of those, there's always some big event that destroys either the entire Earth or just wipes out all humans at once. Whether that's natural disasters such as tsunamis, volcanoes, and the likes, or a monster that comes down to Earth, laying waste to everything. And while this idea is so prevalent throughout many different cultures, it kind of is like a best case scenario for humanity. It's easier for us to imagine that the world will end suddenly and violently in an almost quick and painless death for us, when in reality, the end of civilization and the end of the world is a slow, painful process. And that's where the name World End Syndrome comes in. In this series, the apocalypse is not a sudden massive event. It is a slow terminal sickness that lasts thousands of years. And throughout it all, people still strive for a sense of normalcy like they always have. I'm sure the collapse of the Roman Empire felt like the end of the world, but to people born around the time that it collapsed, the world was just like that. They didn't know that they were in a post apocalyptic society, so to say. And in World End Syndrome, the United States no longer exists. It has been destroyed in a massive civil war that ended up devouring the entire North American continent. And instead of the United States, there are much smaller city states, such as the Great Lakes region in Chicago, which has become its own nation, and that is where our story takes place. So, the beginning, the very first shot of the show is four boys traveling through a snowy landscape reminiscent of the Ice Age. In the distance, they see a large city made of tall, black, oily buildings that reach beyond the clouds. These buildings are like the height of mountains. They reach past the clouds. You can't even see the tops of them. And in front of the city, you can see this large, writhing shadow that is this mass of soldiers marching out of the city into this Ice Age landscape. Suddenly, a massive shadow appears underneath the four boys, and as they start running, the ice cracks. That's when our main character, Zadok Armitage, wakes up in his bed in Chicago in the year 2075. Dazed and confused, he grabs a beer from his fridge and emotionlessly watches two explosions in the distance. Zadok Armitage, Private Eye. Zadok is a firebrand of a detective, constantly going against what his superiors ask of him. He pushes the boundary of investigation constantly and will look at any person or organization, no matter how much power they have. And that's what leads him to his investigation of our main antagonists, the Dagon religion. He's a natural leader, a general goofy guy. However, he has a serious side and can be quite scary at times. Zadok is charming, charismatic. He's easy to root for. He's somebody that you like watching him investigate. You like watching him interact with other people. And you can tell he really cares about the people in this story and the people that are helping him. But Zadok is also plagued by visions of a dead future. This is called World End Syndrome. He sees the city he swore to protect empty, reclaimed by nature. And this will just happen as he's walking through the streets. He's not seeing specific events that lead to the destruction of the city. He's seeing the city completely destroyed, dead and gone. And because of that, he is constantly drinking to suppress these visions. Zadok is also unnaturally strong and athletic. He can jump from the fourth story of a building without being hurt. His reflexes are insane, and he has spent his life learning martial arts. Zadok is the driving force behind the story. He is who we are constantly following. He is who we root for. However, there are other characters who will work with and against Zadok that make World End Syndrome so special. Bella is a 19-year-old girl Zadok meets while investigating the Dagon religion. She's also looking into the religion, and it seems like she knows a lot more about them than she's letting on. Bella is solemn and quiet. She carries this heavy air of depression. Like many of the people born after the collapse of North America, she is listless and has little ambition. But for some reason, she is central to the Dagon religion investigation and has been following them for quite some time, a bit longer than Zadok has, actually. And she basically becomes Zadok's sidekick, helping him investigate the Dagonists, and like him, she is unnaturally athletic and strong. She's a bit of a punk and antagonizes Zadok, but the two have a sort of sibling relationship. Their dynamic is a key part of the show. They're constantly bouncing off of each other. You know, their dialogue is sharp and witty, and that's what makes the relationship so lovable and makes them so easy to root for. Lemonhead is Nyarlathotep, an outer god representing pure chaos. He is far older than the Earth itself, and he kind of just ended up on it around 2,000 years before the story. He's a trickster. In the H.P. Lovecraft mythos, Nyarlathotep is pretty much Loki. He plays tricks on humanity. He loves messing with them. But by the time of our story takes place, he grows quite fond of humanity. Not for the purest of reasons, it's because he loves messing with them. But the other outer gods, like who are the same species as him, they want to wipe humanity out. They want to take over the earth and turn humanity into basically a subservient species that looks nothing like they do now. They have no free will. And he's an ally to Zadok and Bella, and he's known Bella since she was just a child. He gives both of our main characters strange, mysterious powers, like being able to control fire and other elements. He is in direct conflict with the Dagon religion, and although he's using Zadok, he does genuinely care for him and wishes he could help more, and tell Zadok the whole truth. But Lemonhead is a god, he can't really just reveal everything. There are certain rules he has to play by, otherwise the events that he's trying to stop will come to fruition. Chagnar Fawn. He is the deity worshipped by the Dagon religion and a dangerous outer god of chaos. He came to North America around 1,000 years ago, so after Lemonhead. He was worshipped by the Cahokian civilization, and he ultimately led them to ruin. He was sealed deep in the earth beneath the mounds of Cahokia, sleeping for years and years. However, the war that devoured North America and led to the collapse of the United States unearthed his burial mound, and he was once again on the surface. Human emotions are like food to him, and the negative ones are his favorites. To most of the Dagon religion, he is just a statue. However, he speaks to its priests, and he desires complete domination of North America and revenge for being sealed away for so long. His ultimate plan is to call more of his kind to the earth and to have them rule over humanity and transform them into monstrous beings that are completely under his control. During the first season of World End Syndrome, Chagnar is asleep, gaining power for his ultimate plan. The Dagon Saintess, she is actually Bella's mother and the matriarch of the Dagon religion. At this point in the story, she is the only one communicating with Chagnar, and she is pregnant with his child, a human and god hybrid monstrosity that's birth will directly lead to humanity's collapse. She abandoned Bella years ago after using her to further the Dagon religion's goals. Bella was experimented on and tortured by the Dagonists, which is where her unusual athleticism and strength come from. The Saintess was deeply traumatized from the war that devoured the continent, and she is vengeful and full of hate. She wants the entire world to suffer like she has, and is the main antagonist of the first season and orchestrates all the events of it while Chagnar sleeps. The Dagonists. While the Dagon religion is an antagonist force in the series, many of its members are just normal people who need something to cling on in this bleak world. There is something strange about many of the members, however. They all have this blank stare and these creepy fake smiles, like they aren't in control of their own bodies. This is because many of them aren't. Chagnar has reached into the minds of these people and altered it so that they worship him fully, and his desire for negative emotions has kind of turned them into these violent beings who are willing to do anything to feed Chagnar and wake him back up. And at any moment, the Sanctus can pick a random member of the religion and turn them into a living bomb, which is what Zadok is investigating, these series of bombings that seemingly have no cause. The Knights of Chagnar. This is our main antagonist group. They're the military wing of the Dagon religion, a group compromised of members who have survived the religion's experiments and are given unnatural and unique powers. All members, like Zadok and Bella, have incredible strength and reflexes, but each one of them has their own unique superpower. For example, one can affect the weight of any object he holds, making something like a tree branch as heavy as a massive boulder that he can swing at you. They are all insane and battle obsessed. Most of them don't really care about Chagnar and his goals, but serve him due to the promise of fighting in a great war where they can freely slaughter whoever they want. Zadok will face off against a large number of their members. Episode 1 begins with the vision of the Ice Age landscape and Zadok waking up to the bonds. We spend the entire episode following Zadok investigating the Dagon religion. Zadok finds out the truth about the statue and how it's way older than people are being led to believe, and he's told that it might even be alive. While sitting at a diner processing what he had just learned, Zadok becomes a victim of the Dagon bombings. The entire building is destroyed and he is blown in half. As we fade to white, he then wakes up again in the same bed he was in at the start of the episode, and those same two bombings happen outside his window once again. Episode 2, Zadok takes a different approach to his investigation instead of reliving the same exact day. He finds an abandoned warehouse occupied by the Dagonists. By the time he arrives, the Dagonists have been knocked out by Bella. The two meet for the first time, and Zadok gets a vision of the future. In it, Bella is completely frozen in ice. Bella seems to somehow recognize Zadok and asks if he's the reason the day restarted. The two of them eat at a late night diner and agree to work together. This time, no bomber arrives at the diner. Episode 3, Bella introduces Zadok to Lemonhead, who tells him what the Dagon religion is planning. Zadok's partner detective Bunk warns Zadok that he's walking a dangerous path and that he can't keep protecting him. While Zadok drinks alone in his apartment, he's attacked by Chavo, a knight of Chagnar whose ability allows him to manipulate the weight of any object he touches. When Zadok is about to be defeated, Lemonhead arrives and kills Chavo, asking Zadok if he's willing to do anything to beat the Dagonists. Episode 4 begins in Cahokia. A young man who looks strikingly similar to Zadok is being chastised for doubting the blessings of Chagnar. In the background, we see rows of crosses with people strapped to them. Back in the present, Zadok and Lemonhead's conversation continues. Lemonhead offers Zadok an accord, which he accepts. Suddenly, black and white flames form around Zadok. Bella watches from the distance, a pained look on her face. The Knights of Chagnar hear about Chavo's death, and their leader, Margot, approaches the Saintess. She sits in front of the statue of Chagnar, his eyes closed shut. The episode starts with a young Bella covered in bruises with a dead look on her face. Her mother tells her that today is the promised day. As soon as the Saintess leaves, Lemonhead attacks the base of operations, killing all the Dagonists inside. At this point, he looks completely different. He has 6 eyes and slicked black hair. He finds young Bella, and when she says she's afraid to look at him, he notices that she's carrying a box of Lemonhead candy, and he changes his face to look like the mascot. This causes the emotionless Bella to laugh, and Lemonhead smiles. Back in the present, a dejected Bella sits across from Zadok, having just told him of her past and her relationship with Lemonhead. Zadok looks determined, more determined than ever before, and he promises to stop the Dagonists. Margot and 4 other knights appear in front of Zadok and Bella. They kill multiple bystanders in an initial attack. Zadok fights with his new powers for the very first time. The black flames burn anything they touch to a crisp, burning until there is nothing left, while the white flames heal. They can even rebuild destroyed buildings. He manages to kill 2 of the knights. Bella is fighting against Margot. mainly dodging and trying to stay alive. Margot is able to manipulate her body's gravity, giving each of her attacks an immense strength, while allowing her to move fast and erratically. Zadok comes to help Bella, but Margot is far too strong for him. She beats him senseless. As Zadok was about to die, Bella's emotions finally boil over. For the first time in the series, she yells for Margot to stop and covers the entire city block in an intense ice, causing Margot to flee. Bella passes out. On the other side of the city, Lemonhead walks down a long, ancient staircase. At the bottom, we see the Sanctus. The two stare at each other, and suddenly, the statue of Chagnar, multiple eyes all open at once. Episode 7, Lemonhead and the Sanctus talk back and forth about their plans and why they're doing it. Lemonhead says he'll stop her at any cost, and the Sanctus just laughs. Zadok watches over Bella. Lemonhead finds the two of them and tells them that they are out of time, and the Dagonist plan is coming to fruition far sooner than he thought. Bella wakes up determined to fight and use her power. She reveals that Shognar did not come to Earth alone, and that when she was a child, she had the cells of an outer god placed into her body, giving her complete control over ice. Lemonhead, Zadok, and Bella stand outside the Dagon headquarters. Inside, the remaining Knights of Chagnar, led by Margot, wait ready to fight our heroes. Episode 8. This episode is non-stop action, front to back. Zadok fights Margot directly, while Lemonhead fights the other knights. Zadok, for the first time in his life, completely loses himself. He should be focused on ending the fight as quickly as possible, but he's enjoying it. He feels alive while fighting Margot with these powers. Lemonhead and the knight Lenhart fight to a standstill. Suddenly, Zadok and Margot fall into the room, and all four stand in like this circle-y square, facing off. Lionheart begins laughing like a maniac, and the four begin to battle. Bella is running down the stairs Lemonhead was on in the previous episode. She breaks into the main room and sees her mother standing there. Bella pleads with her to just stop and listen, saying the two can start again. The Sanctus actually looks sad at Bella's plea, but before she can respond to her, she screams in pain, grabbing her stomach. Chagnar fully awakes, the stone body crumbling and revealing his flesh. It writhes and turns. Episode 9 begins in Cahokia once again, following the same man as before. You see the city covered in fire, people dying all over the place, and at the top of the mound is Chagnar in his full fleshy body. The young man clenches his fist, and black and white flames cover his body. Back at the present, Zadok and Lemonhead continue fighting. It's just a brutal fight, and Lenhart ends up losing his arms, and they suddenly hear this deafening roar. This is Chagnar's roar, and it causes them to fall to their knees and get filled with despair. And Lenhart even cuts his own throat and suddenly gets covered in tree roots. Chagnar, now covered in roots, and they spread out in every direction looking for members of the Dagon religion. Bella rushes towards her mother, whose stomach rips open, and a monstrous elephant-headed man crawls out of her body, far larger than should be possible. The roots all meet on the surface and form a massive tree that reaches beyond the clouds. We cut to a view of the earth. The massive tree has reached space, and at the top a flower blooms. An eye is revealed in the flower. And now we come to our final episode of Season 1. This is the culmination of everything we've been building to throughout the season, the reveal of the Dagonist's final plan, and it also sets up a second season as well. Zadok stands at the base of the tree, holding a knocked out Bella. Lemonhead pulls himself onto the roots and finds the two of them. Bella wakes up, and Lemonhead tells them that this tree will attract more of his and Shognar's kind. It's basically a communication device, a satellite. Lemonhead tells Zadok that he can burn this tree with the black flames, but they will burn him as well. A bloody and scarred Margot, partially blended with the wood of the tree, suddenly appears and attacks frantically. Lemonhead and Bella hold her off, fighting her as Zadok approaches the base of the tree. He outstretches his hand and burns the tree, the black flames quickly covering it. As the flames begin to cover him, Bella suddenly appears and encases Zadok in ice, stopping the flames from killing him. Chagnar and the Sanctus' son stand in the ashes of the tree, determined to keep going with the plan, and Chagnar takes a human form, preparing his backup plan. Sometime later, a dejected Bella and Lemonhead sit by Zadok, still frozen in ice. Bella says that she'll stop the Dagonist no matter what and free Zadok. The final scene is back in the Ice Age era. One of the young men looks almost identical to Zadok. He falls through the ice, and suddenly a girl grabs his arm and pulls him out. She looks identical to Bella. Thank you for listening to my pitch, and I hope World End Syndrome is a series that you find interesting. I really believe the second season would build on the momentum of the first season and wrap up the plot points incredibly well. I believe the setting, characters, and themes will be what attracts people to supporting the series, and I truly hope that you enjoyed this pitch. Thank you.